So last week I really couldn't do a session because I had planned a podcast with somebody else, but it got cancelled last minute. And yeah, before that, I think we did a topic about on health. So today I'm going to talk very important one more on relationships. And of course, you guys know that these are two, uh, let's say, alternating topics that I generally do: health, wellness, relationships, are the primary focus of this channel. So today we're going to talk something very interesting and pertinent for, let's say, young men in general who are in the dating market or in the relationship market looking to find a girl to marry or for dating or for long-term romantic relationships. One of the common challenges men typically face when it comes to, let's say, courting women, right? Which is pretty hard, by the way. And in today's world, it's becoming harder and harder in spite of how comfortable and accessible people are, right? One of the things they find extremely hard to decipher and understand is, why do women suddenly ghost? Why do they test? Is it actually a test that she's doing? Why is she not responding on time? Why is she, making me feel jealous? Why is she ignoring me? A bunch of questions that comes to men's mind in general, and women do it quite often, right? So we're going to talk about why women test you as in men in a relationship, and what does it actually mean, and how you could probably be the man who can pass the test to finally have her in your life, right? That's what we're going to talk about. And I think this is very crucial and relevant for most of the men who are in the dating market, whether you're looking to marry or it's for short term, long term. A lot of these rules are still quite relevant in today's time. So let's get going into it. So I think the general confusion comes for a lot of people on, what, it's more of that, sour grapes kind of a story when men complain online on Twitter, or sometimes even the men's rights activist, the extremist, right, in that group start complaining, say, oh man, this is too much effort, I can't be doing all this, I don't want such girls, I would rather be alone, right? So that's a very defeatist way of looking at things. I don't belong to that category. I do think that women brighten up your life and they are an essential part of you to complete your own life and you to complete their life. So that being said, I want you to really understand why women test you and why is it a necessity and why is it necessarily good, right? So that's what we're going to look at. I'm going to discuss maybe 4 to 5 points on why they test, so that you don't start detesting women for doing that, and you understand the psychology and the evolutionary reasons behind why women do that, right? So point number one: women test men in dating to assess primarily your emotional restraint and strength. That's it. This is the number one rule. They actually want to assess your emotional strength, how strong you are as a person, right? That is what she wants to find out. She also wants to know if you're the leader material, if you're actually consistent and congruent, and you have enough potential before she can emotionally invest in you. Now, you might actually question, oh, is this actually a transaction? Is this looks like business? Why does she have to put me through so much hopes? That's because her investment in marriage or in you is more expensive than your investment in her, right? She has to bear the child or she has to have sex with you. The damages or consequences are more for her. So her investment naturally, or her test naturally, will be much higher, right? I mean, imagine you attending a, let's say, a top position in a company versus, let's say, a junior level clerical position in a company. That the series of interviews or, let's say, tests that you might go through as a clerk versus as a, let's say, a vice president or maybe a CXO, wouldn't that differ, right? Wouldn't you be okay to go through the hoop? You have to, right? So that's how it is, kind of an analogy, if not very similar. So she needs to be more careful. So obviously she's going to test if you're a man worthy of her giving herself, right? This by no means is manipulative, as sometimes, the rectal community might say. In fact, they actually talk quite a bit about why women test, and I think those are pretty useful too. So, but in general, these are not manipulative, or it's not intended to cause you any harm, or they're not being very cruel. But for the very rare cases in which there are some psychopathic women who do that, but in most cases it's benign. It's just to test you. It's more subconscious and unintentional, right? And in the very rare cases, like I said, it can be cruel or manipulative. That's to, kind of egoistic or to exert some power over you in terms of relationship. Point number two: Women actually do this subconsciously or intuitively, right? It's not like they wake up and plan that, oh, today I'm going to put him through test number 75 and 42. That's not how she is actually thinking. She's kind of doing it subconsciously and instantaneously or even intuitively, right? It's not a super detailed punchasheel kind of a plan. Now, like I said, she's looking for genuinity and authenticity in you. And essentially, since safety is of a primal concern for her, that is what she's going to subconsciously test you for. Very rare cases, like I said, it is intentional. That is possible when she's, let's say, thinking that she's lost the upper hand with you. In the relationship over time, somebody, it's never equal, by the way, right? It's always either the woman who has the upper hand in a relationship or the man who has. In the odd cases that she senses that the man's perceived sexual market value is superseding her or slightly higher than her, in which case is going to upset her. Then she might want to equalize that by, let's say, showing anger or doing all this test in a kind of a negative way. But that's also quite rare, and you can actually find out. It's not a big deal. The key message here is all of these still show some form of investment or interest in you, right? That's the good part of it, because it's, again, understand, since it's an expensive process which takes time, right? So she's not actually going to be able to do this with multiple people in parallel. Is quite hard. Even if she does, it's pretty hard, by the way. And let's say the deeper you are in the test, the better for you. Because let's say you fail, it's actually quite miserable for her. She's going to be disappointed more than you think, because she has to start from scratch for the next guy, with the added burden of having, let's say, accounting for some of the positives that she has found in you, and then again adding that to the existing list of conditions that the new guy has to pass, right? So it's actually more burdensome even for the girl to start from scratch, like that Paroto story, right? From start, let's go, right? It's pretty hard for her. So number three, right? So I spoke about evolutionary instincts, right? We might actually wonder, why is it relevant in terms of testing a man in today's situation? See, in those days, hunter-gatherer days, and let's say the harsh climate that we lived in, women's survival, and women are survival creatures, right? Their survival purely depended on the man that she married with and had kids with, right? Now, if you're a man who's kind of unshaken under pressure, you signal masculinity, stoicism, and strength in terms of extreme situations and harshness of life. Right? That's what people generally go through in life, even today, right? If you are that kind of a man, then she's at least reasonably assured that she is taking a good bet on you. That's it. She's never sure if you are the best bet. But given the circumstances and the type of guys that she has met, she is reasonably sure that you're a reasonable bet to put her money on. That's what she. So these kind of tests, evolution reveal her. If a man is able to retain his frame, right? Is he kind of stable? Is he a rock, or is he kind of self assured, or is he a guy who is looking for external validation, including hers, to be able to lead a life, right? Because she's not going to be liking that, by the way, right? If you're a guy who says, I need you so that I can cross the river, no, that's not a man that she would want to marry. You already need to know how to swim. You probably need to be a captain who can row the boat or the ship, whatever, and then she can be a passenger. That's the kind of strength she is actually looking for, right? So it's on the evolutionary angle of it. So it's pretty harsh climate, harsh weather, harsh life. Are you the guy? Are you the rock that she can depend on? Is what she is looking for. So that's part of the test. Another reason, number four, right? They're also always looking for inauthenticity and let's say fakery, right? Now, for a fact, all of us men can fake a lot and give a lot of dialogues just to sleep with a woman. That is who we are, right? Okay, if I have to do this to fake my power and position or status, I would do that, right? To sleep with a woman, and men do that without any shame, right? And women know that. It's not like they're stupid. So they're actually trying to weed out all the nonsensical player boys out of the loop, right? That is why she's actually looking for authentic people and not the inauthentic players, right? The player materials. This is for a marriage, right? That's what I'm saying. Now, these kind of tests, when run over a reasonable period of time, kind of weeds out all the inauthentic players over time. That's what will happen, because it's very difficult to maintain your frame for an extended period of time. Also, it's very difficult to maintain a fake pretentious yourself for a very long time. That's just not possible, and she knows it, right? Even you know that you can't fake yourself for a extended period of time, right? So what she's looking for when I say authenticity, etc., she's looking for congruency in terms of your words versus actions. This is one of the key things she's looking for. Um, I'll give you an example, right? One of the girls that I recently interact with, I think she's probably 27, 28, looking to marry, and she's been seeing quite a few guys in terms of alliances through her parents on, let's say, matrimonial websites. So one day I was just chatting with her at work, and she was giving me some of the examples of actual interactions with guys from her perspective. So it's very fascinating for me, right? I also get to learn from, how these interactions go. And I was asking, like, how come you met 15 of them and you said no to almost everyone? Uh, of course, women are more choosy, I told you, right? So in this specific case, she said there was a guy to whom she actually asked, do you get angry? How often do you get angry, or what makes you angry? Guess what the guy responded, right? He says, oh, I never get angry. And we both smiled because both of us knew that is not true, right? How can any human just not get angry at all, right? That's not the answer actually she's looking for. And then you failed by being inauthentic, because you think that if I say that I'm angry, she will not like it, but rather you kind of shot yourself in the foot by lying to yourself and lying to her, right? So she's now going to like it. So getting angry is not a problem, right? How you control your anger and how you channelize it, and how you still face the situation is what she's arguably looking for, right? So in other words, if I can actually talk to you or tell you, like how Jordan Peterson said in one of his videos in another context, he basically says you should be the monster within, but you should know how to tame it or control it, right? That is what women are actually looking for, not the benign version who doesn't get angry at all. In fact, it's a straight reject. Now, the beautiful thing with, so this is an example of your, let's say, authenticity test, for example, right? Now, the beautiful thing with uh, women's test is that it has stood the test of time for hundreds of thousands of years, and it works brilliantly even today. And that's because of the length, duration, of course, and the patience she's able to show in deciphering you over an extended period of time. Because a man wants closure fast, because you're already tense, because the woman is actually putting you through the test, and your nervous system is on alert, and you just want to finish it off, right? You're palpitating, to be honest. Now, she knows you're in a hurry to close the loop because you're looking for intimacy or sex or marriage or closure, and she knows you're in a hurry, and you're bound to make mistakes when you're in a hurry, right? And with her, it's opposite. She's actually having more control over her urges by nature, and she's able to wait out to see when you break. That is why the tests are very critical from a woman's perspective. So she can, essentially, what I'm saying is she's evolved to sense your fakery, right? So don't try to fake it. You will not be able to win. Yeah, what else? Yeah, I think I spoke about emotional strength. I think that's the number one thing. Yeah, so in today's world, I want to talk about some of the test over texting, right? So in today's world, I think more than meeting people, it's more about dating over apps, or let's say WhatsApp, or one of these text-based dating is what is going on. There's not too much of phone call, or maybe not too much of meetings these days. So I'll restrict this particular video towards a couple of texting things that women test you on, and what you should, the pitfalls that you should avoid. I'll speak about maybe just a couple of them, and in future videos I'll do a little more on those aspects. Okay, let's see. Just to tell you, I want all men to know that, right from the choice of words that you make, the punctuations, the commas, everything gets analyzed. And more than that, it's not like a grammar check, but it's more like the energy and the emotion behind it is very easily read by the woman, right from the, timestamp, the speed of your reply, the length of your reply, the way you structure it, everything gets analyzed pretty quick. It's a, super power RAM that they've got. So yeah, just be a little careful. Cool. Think we spoke about why women test, etc. Okay, yeah, I think the message I want to give users in terms of why they test, the good news I want to give you is that if she is testing, it usually means she has at least some modicum of respect and interest in you. and now she's just testing more and more to test your emotional strength and your boundaries, right? So that's a positive part. Now we discussed about faking your confidence and everything, blah blah blah. So now let's look at some of these, let's say, three text-based situational tests that you might go through, and what you probably need to do to, let's say, clear it or pass it, right? Let's do that. Now I'll come to the passing part in a different way, but I just want to keep it easy from a, let's say, language perspective here. One of the things you'll obviously find most of the time is actually a delayed response, or let's say longer delay, in the sense more than a few days, weeks, and then complete silence, right? So these are ghosting types. So these are two things that infuriates men, right? Because we men want closure. We are too logical. We send something, we want an answer for it. You have a problem, you want to solve it, right? That is how the men's brain works and thinks. A woman's brain doesn't think like that, right? You have to first understand that. Now she delays her responses purposefully sometimes, or she just goes to on purpose sometimes. Now she's basically sensing whether you're abundant or you're just needy for her validation, and whether you have patience. Again, it all boils down to your emotional strength in terms of how you are as a person. Now, what happens when this happens, when this situation arises, is that most men lose patience, and they immediately, maybe half an hour, 1 hour, or maybe a couple of hours, I don't know. Men tend to ask, what happened? Are you okay? Did I say something wrong? Is everything all right at your end? Do you want me to call you tomorrow? A bunch of, let's say, stupid texts that all of us men have sent in life. I also have done all these mistakes. Now, every single of this follow up, or something called as double texting, is a attraction killer. You've lost the plot right away. So don't double text. This is the only rule that I want to give to all men who are into dating. Never, never double text. There are some exceptions. I'll come to that, but never double text, right? Never ask why, what happened, why didn't you respond? Are you busy? It's absolute nonsense. Please understand that every girl is checking her WhatsApp every half an hour, or at least 4 5 hours a day. There is not a day in which she's not reading or missing a message. That's just not possible. She's purposefully ignoring your message, or maybe chatting with somebody else. These are the two possible things that can happen. We'll also address about what if she has, let's say, other options, right? That's also possible, right? So you're not the only man in consideration, because she has to talk to multiple people to beat out the players and choose the right one, the winner, for example. So the one rule of thumb here I want to give you is, no matter what the situation, don't ever double text. Mirror her response rate. So if she has taken, let's say, 3 hours to respond to you, maybe you don't have to necessarily do at 3 hours. That's kind of stupid and childish and puerile sometimes. So I might want to just, reply within half an hour, even 1 hour is fine, right? 30 minutes, 40 minutes, that's ballpark fine. Mirror her energy. That is exactly what I'm trying to say. Don't be overeager. Don't go too cold. That's also not good. You have to show that you're interested, but at the same time, show that you are not a needy guy in this part. So you also delay and retract your response and kind of play the game. It's like, one forward step, one backward step. Think of it like a dance, right? She's also playing the dance. You're also playing the dance, right? She's moving a little slower. Maybe you're moving a little faster, but again, you're trying to be incongruent with and saying that, yeah, I'm up for the dance. That's what you're trying to convey, and she knows it pretty well. In some cases, you might think that she's completely ghosted you for a week. And let's say this is in the initial stage and the interest levels are not just there. I think if she ghosts you for a week and there's nothing much, you might want to drop a follow-up. Uh, just do a direct follow-up. Don't do all this, let's say, cheesy stuff on some forwards and stuff. Just be a man and just ask her, say, you know what, I reached out to you last week. Looks like you missed it, or it was not responded to. I just want to check if you're up to meeting again, or you want to talk, right? The texting should be to meet or take it to the next step, right? And just have a chat. And if she shows disinterest, great, you should move on. But if she responds, then you have a game going. Otherwise, you shouldn't be following up. This is the only condition in which you can double text or reinitiate the contact. Yeah. So bunch of other things she will typically do is, she will give you playful challenges over text or voice. She'll push back a little bit. She might say, you know what, some guy Rahul in my office finds me cute. Somebody complimented me on my the salwar that I'm wearing, or the jeans that I'm adorning today, right? So these are mostly things to test your frame and to see if you're getting shaken by another man in the picture. That's normal. I mean, you just need to not react angrily or just react with insecurity, which means you also need to be a man with reasonable amount of options. Even if you don't have options, you don't need to react to her. Just play it along and say that, yeah, looks like I've also made the right choice, or looks like you're an attractive person, right? Just play it along and keep it, in the angle of humor, and she will know what you exactly mean. So that's pretty much about it. Yeah, so I think this flakiness, let's say missing on dates, not responding to you, telling you that I'll call you at a particular time and then missing on it. For either of these things, if the action is on her, right, your job is to just wait it out and not ask what happened. Why didn't you follow up? Why didn't you message me? That's an attraction killer. So double testing, double action from your side of any form, irrespective of what the situation is, a attraction killer, and you should not do it. This is the only rule that I wanted to talk about today. It basically conveys that you're out of options and that you're insecure and that you're scared of losing it. There's nothing that scares a woman than telling her that you're scared of losing it, right? You have to be willing to move out of the deal. That is how deals are made in general, even in business, right? So even in relationships, she should know that the man is willing to walk away and she's the one who will miss you. I think sometime back I just said there's an interesting point about the timeline that they take to vet you, for example, right? So you have to understand that it is a very, very expensive process for a woman to vet a man, right? And let's say you're 25 to 30% or even 40% into a relationship with her, and there's been reasonable interest, mutual interest between both of you. It's going to pain her more if you fail, right? She actually wants you to pass. Please understand that. Now, that's because she has to start from scratch all over again, like I said before, right? It's in your interest also to know that you might actually have higher leverage, better leverage, because there are not um, too many men who can actually pass most of the conditions that a woman actually imposes, right? The demands are pretty high these days, and it's not many men who are emotionally quite stoic, masculine, and restrained in terms of impulses, right? Today's men are very distracted, addicted to pornography, uh, habits, and immediate gratification, that they just can't even wait for let's say a day to respond to women, right? The patience aspect is completely gone. That being the case, if you are the man who can even wait 1 hour, 2 hour, or a couple of days, she's just going to go bonkers and rate you really, really high. She's going to have deep respect for you and actually want you as the mate. Why not? Think about it, right? You're out of 100 odd guys who are messaging her every single day. Any girl, I can tell you guys, this is a fact, right? Right from 16, 17 till about, let's say the woman is in mid 40s. If she's, when I say mid 40s, if she's maintaining herself really well and if she's pretty, there are guys right from college guys to 60-year-old uncles who are DMing her every single day. Your wife might not tell you, your girlfriend might not tell you, but this is happening. Take it from me. And I've seen it, by the way, right? I've seen it with a lot of women have shown me these texts. It's like hundreds texts with hearts and beggings and stuff. So I've seen it. Every girl gets it. Married, unmarried, they just don't reveal it out. They talk among themselves. That is how it works. Now, if you're the man out of these 100 who's unique, voluntarily, right? You're not faking it again. That's what I'm saying. Voluntarily, if you have that kind of a control, and if you're the man who says, I am what I am, I'm just going to, play the longer game. I actually value you for what you are. I respect myself more than anything, right? That these are the messages you can make. When you're that kind of a man, her mind switches and thinks, okay, out of all the 100, he seems to be the one or two that I want to take seriously, right? That's the kind of man you have to be. That's the kind of man I want my son to be, or that's the kind of man I want my daughter to marry tomorrow. These are the skills I'm going to teach them in terms of either identifying the right man or also being the man that women would want to chase and marry. Cool. So I think this is pretty much, I want to talk about late response. Like I told you, just mirror her response. That's good enough. It's mostly purposeful. No response, you might want to do a second check-in immediately, maybe after a week, maybe a week and a half or a few days. That's fine. And if after the second check-in, the response is not favorable, delete the number and move on. don't even store the number. Just delete. That's what I do. Just delete the number, move on. She should know that you are a man who respects yourself first. That's it. If you don't respect yourself, there's no way the girl is going to respect you. And she can sense it, boys, I'm telling you, right? So just delete the number and move on. There's somebody else. Another thing I want all of you to understand is don't ever try and analyze this texting pattern and then why she's not replying. What is she doing? Just ignore this. It doesn't concern you. In fact, intentional, unintentional. Is she playing test number 72 versus 47 or 38? Those things doesn't really matter to you. A woman is she herself might not know why she's doing it, right? That's what I'm saying. So there's a lot of hormonal fluctuations. There's a lot of emotional upheaval in her life in general. There's more stress and pressure that they may go through that they themselves don't know why they're doing it. So there's no need for you to ascribe or annotate any reason to these behaviors. It's only waste your time. Your job is to, okay, look at him. Imagine, like, look at a, let's say, a petulant child who's behaving a bit irrationally sometimes, right? What would you do as a father or a grown up? You would just smile in a in a nice way. It's like, cool, okay, I'll just observe, just move on, right? You would wait for the child to stop crying and then start behaving well. I'm not just saying that women are like children, but I'm just saying that, like, just an analogical perspective. Don't take it too seriously. Let them do it and then just move on. Just, retain your frame and be calm, right? And that her attraction to you will double, triple, and become 4 times because you are a man who's shown to be dependable, unshakable, the rock that she wanted to be, because you are actually one, not just 1 in 100, but 1 in 1,000, right? That is exactly what you should strive to be as a man, right? Let's go on that path. I hope you found this pretty useful. And if you have friends who are in this age bracket, looking to marry, looking to date, looking to find a girl for love, whatever the reason is, I don't know. I don't judge people for what they do. But if you think you're looking for a woman and if you're going through these kind of tests, it's very important that you know that these are the tests that women will do, particularly over text, which is quite common, and you should know how to pass them with flying colors without fakery. Now, to not fake these things, you should also be the man who is not quite impulsive, but that's a separate topic which we will touch much later. But for now, that's all I've got. If you like this video, feel free to share with your friends, relatives, and people who you think might benefit. And yeah, and also a comment or two might motivate me to do more. And also, I want to thank a friend of mine, a wonderful designer who's designed a cute logo. So from now onwards, I won't upload the video immediately. I'm going to send it to him. He's going to add the logo towards the in the video and in the end, and then it's going to come a few hours down the line. I'll see you soon with some other exciting content pretty soon, guys. Cheers. Happy dating.